Okay, today we are going to talk about some grammar topics regarding sentence basics. What is a sentence? What is the difference between a sentence and a clause and a phrase? How they give you certain questions where they're looking to see if you understand that there are redundancies or wordiness in the sentences. Then you have parallelism in a sentence. All the verbs in a sentence should be similar. Like I can give an example sentence. I like biking, comma, swimming, comma, and dancing. So all the verbs are ing there. They are parallel. But I could say a wrong sentence would be I like biking, comma, swimming, comma, and to dance. That would not be parallel. To make that parallel with the two followed by the verb, you would say I like to dance, sing, and bike. That would be parallel. So that's what they mean by parallelism. Then placement of modifiers. The modifier and the subject it's modifying should be close to each other, appropriately placed. The general rule of thumb is the subject could be anywhere before the modifier, but if you put the subject after the modifier, it has to be the modifier followed by a comma followed by a subject. So an example of misplaced modifier would be saying a table was bought by the witch with long curved legs. So it implies that the witch had long curved legs. So that's because with long curved legs is the modifier. And the subject is the table, not the witch. So to fix it, you'd say the table with long curved legs was bought by the witch. Okay? So that this is now fixing the modifier. The table is the subject with the long black legs or long curved legs is the modifier modifying the subject table. So they're side by side. And then was bought by the witch. Then you have logical comparisons. With basically this is saying that my house is better than you. That is wrong because you can't compare your house with another person. You should say my house is better than your house or that of yours. So that would be logical comparison. Then you have coordination and subordination. Coordination is using coordinate conjunctions such as and, but, all those things. Subordination would be using subordinate conjunctions such as since, moreover, therefore, because. That makes the first part, when you use a subordinate conjunction with a sentence, it converts it into a dependent clause. So it cannot exist by itself. You say, I like to run. That's a complete sentence. But if you use a subordinate conjunction like since, you say, since I like to run, now that sentence is not complete. So that's a dependent clause. You have to put a comma after a dependent clause and then put an independent clause to finish the whole sentence. So you say, since I like to run, comma, I wake up early in the morning. I wake up early in the morning is an independent clause because it's fine by itself. Since I like to run is a dependent clause because it cannot be independently in a sentence and completed. It needs a dependent clause, an independent clause. So there should be a comma between a dependent clause and an independent clause. So you go dependent clause, comma, independent clause. That makes the whole sentence compact, finished. And then we are going to discuss about verb use and tense, pronoun antecedent agreement as well, just like subject verb agreement. Then singular plural agreement. This can come again in the areas of subject verb as well as pronoun antecedent agreements. And then you have diction or proper wording. So use the correct word in the correct sense. Differences between accept and accept. Differences between effect and affect. So if you know the correct meanings of the words, you'll use them properly and therefore it will be diction-wise correct. Then we'll talk about different kinds of punctuation marks such as when and where to use commas, semicolons, colons, dashes, apostrophes. And finally, we are going to skip over the quantitative graph analysis because that is something that only comes up for the SAT, not for the ACT. Okay, so that's pretty much the plan for this.